Unit 1, Interacting with your community. Lesson 1, Introduction to Responding to your community. Trust and communication. Building community trust begins with addressing resident concerns and ensuring safety. Volatile situations can trigger aggression, fear, or rigidity. Officers must avoid taking perceived insults personally. Good communication, critical thinking, and sound judgment are necessary to determine when to use force versus conflict resolution. Vulnerable adults, defined as individuals aged 18 or older with impaired abilities to perform daily living activities or provide for their own care due to mental, physical, sensory, developmental, or aging factors. Response techniques. Officers should minimize distractions, disperse crowds, respect personal space, avoid physical contact, use calming body language, and allow self-stimulating behaviors to continue if safe. De-escalating tense situations. Maintain eye contact, speak clearly and directly even if an interpreter is present. Use short phrases, model desired behavior, practice active listening, maintain a reactionary gap, and continuously assess the environment and potential substance use. Lesson 2, Serving the Elderly. Legal definition. Chapter 825 of the Florida Statutes defines an elderly person as someone 60 years of age or older suffering from the infirmities of aging, which include advanced age, organic brain damage, physical, mental dysfunction that impair self-care or protection. Common characteristics: limited mobility, vision or hearing loss, diminished strength, bone deterioration, or memory loss. Memory loss is commonly driven by dementia, which is progressive organic mental disorder, or Alzheimer's disease, which is progressive brain disorder that destroys memory and can cause anxiety, suspicion, delusions, or hallucinations. Interaction guidelines. Understand the problem from their perspective. Speak directly to them in a conventional tone. Include them in welfare discussions, and exercise caution with caregivers to avoid third-party agendas. For missing elderly individuals with cognitive decline, a silver alert can be initiated. Resources. Direct services are provided by the Department of Elder Affairs, the Florida Elder Helpline at 800-96-ELDER, and the 211 helpline for crisis counseling and basic assistance. Lesson 3, Serving Juveniles. Characteristics and trauma. Florida law defines a juvenile as a person under 18. However, the brain is not fully developed until age 25, explaining risky behavior and poor impulse control. Juveniles exposed to domestic violence are highly susceptible to PTSD, health problems, delinquency, and substance abuse. Juvenile offenders. Early offending under age 13 correlates with serious or violent future offenses. Offenders may display manipulative or defiant behaviors. Physical assault is the primary crime against juveniles, though social media cyberbullying is growing. Interaction and arrest limitations. Officers must maintain self-control and patience. A juvenile under 7 years of age cannot be arrested or charged unless the violation is a forcible felony, third-degree burglary, or trespassing with burglary tools. Runaways. Officers have no criminal arrest authority for runaways or truants, but must take them into protective custody for their safety. Truants are returned to the school system, and runaways are released to parents or the Department of Children and Families, otherwise known as the DCF. Lesson 4. Serving veterans. Identification indicators. Signs include military subject matter tattoos, bumper stickers, military IDs, military-style haircuts, blended camouflage clothing, command presence body language, or a quote-unquote veteran or quote-unquote V designation on a Florida driver's license. Stressors and conditions. Veterans may have hidden musculoskeletal, neurological, or psychological disorders. Traumatic brain injuries, otherwise known as TBI, result from physical combat damage and cause slurred speech, disorientation, and irritability, which can closely mimic alcohol or drug impairment. Tactical considerations. Veterans possess advanced weapons and defense tactics training. If cornered, their training dictates they fight back, posing a direct threat to officer safety. Officers should establish trust, avoid cornering them, request backup immediately if a situation escalates, and consider calling an officer with a military background to assist. Negative coping behaviors. Veterans experiencing trauma may utilize harmful masking behaviors, including substance abuse, situational avoidance, hypervigilance, sudden anger or violence, dangerous or reckless activities, and overworking. Lesson 5. Serving the homeless. Definition and dynamics. Florida statutes define homeless as lacking a fixed, regular, and adequate nighttime residence. Unsheltered individuals live on streets, in cars, or in abandoned buildings. Sheltered individuals live in a transitional housing or temporary shelters. Crime and reluctance. Homeless individuals are highly vulnerable targets for crimes of opportunity, but they are often reluctant to report offenses due to a lack of motivation or a desire to avoid contact with law enforcement. Response strategy. Being homeless is not a crime. Officers should treat homeless individuals with dignity, respect their civil rights, and offer service referrals or transport to faith-based organizations, tent cities, or crisis intervention programs instead of executing an arrest. Lesson 6. Americans with Disabilities Act, otherwise known as the ADA. Legal protections. The ADA is a federal civil rights law prohibiting discrimination against individuals with disabilities in public life. A disability is a physical or mental impairment that substantially limits major life activities such as walking, seeing, hearing, thinking, or working. Field modifications. Law enforcement is a public entity bound by the ADA. Standard observations for intoxication, like walking a straight line, are ineffective for individuals with an unsteady gait caused by a disability. Officers must ensure Miranda rights are explained in a format the individual can comprehend, document the disability, and notify the state attorney's office and correctional personnel. Service animals. Defined under the ADA strictly as a dog individually trained to perform tasks directly related to a person's disability. No certification or vest are legally required. If not obvious, officers may only ask 2 questions. 1, is the dog a service animal required because of a disability? And 2, what work or task has the dog been trained to perform? Officers must arrange care with family, friends, or a kennel rather than animal control for a service animal if its handler is arrested.